talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
I live in airports, and if you're a TSA agent and you're watching this, thank you for showing up, because the people who were there are doing a thankless job and under terrible circumstances. But the reality is, ICE agents went today, wasn't a single problem. I saw a report on CNN this morning, Atlanta was a disaster. By this afternoon, it was pretty well managed, and ICE was patrolling around, and seemed like maybe
is that ICE, or is that just the normal flow of the travel?
I don't know. I'm just saying, Atlanta's been a huge problem for days. I showed up, and this afternoon we had a reporter there. I saw it on our air.
Lucky you.
Looking at pretty short lines. And so, look, they're not there to scan bags or look at IDs or whatever. They're there to basically help manage what is a crush of human beings. And I was in some airports in Florida. I've been in airports out west. If you don't have TSA pre or clear, it's pretty bad, and it can look pretty chaotic. So having a few people there to keep that managed and keep the flow of people moving, that cannot be a bad thing. But they should fund this now and give these people their money. These TSA workers are getting crapped on again. This is the second time they've done it to them.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and before I get into kind of a local story that we're going to talk about, I just want to say hooray to Ed Bastian. You know, for 5 years, I've been mad at Ed Bastian because at the height of COVID, when my daughter had to cancel her wedding and we had to do everything with 5 people and all the stupid things we had to do in the spring of 2020, Ed Bastian booked out an entire hotel and spent $2 million for COVID screening so his daughter did not have to change anything. And again, I always resented him for that. And I shouldn't, because he had the money. Why couldn't he spend the money to do it? I'm sure it's because I was emotional because it was my daughter's wedding too, got caught up in that. But I'm saying hooray to Ed, Bastian, and Delta. Do you know what they did yesterday, Logan? You know, I've been railing about.
I did hear what they did. I know it made a lot of national news.
I've been railing about these special privileges that congressmen get.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They are still allowed to book on multiple flights. That has not changed. But they have to wait through the lines just like everybody else. They said they just can't give special treatment anymore because they're so shorthanded.
You can have 7 flights booked, but you still got to wait for those lines.
That's right.
They are getting better, but they're still not great.
So hooray, hooray. And look, ICE agents were doing a great job in Atlanta. They weren't doing the TSA job. What they were doing, let me tell you what the ICE agents were doing. These horrible, untrained ICE agents that were going to separate families. They were giving out snacks and food and water. And guess what else they were doing? Now, this is the one I love them for the most, Logan. They waited in line for you if you had to take a kid to the bathroom. They waited in line for you if you had to go after 3 hours in line to the bathroom. So they stood in your place while you went to the bathroom and came back, and you didn't have to lose your place in line.
Yeah, and like you said too, they weren't there checking bags or anything like that. They were just there just to help out. I haven't heard any rumblings that
nothing but positive.
Yeah, I haven't heard any negative connotations in the last 24 plus hours with that.
And the protesters that they were able to organize against ICE out in front of the airport just got kind of ignored because the lines weren't outside anymore, and they weren't going to let them, even though, and it's kind of a problem, I think, where, I guess technically you can walk into an airport to a certain point, even if you don't have a ticket, but it is limited access once you get past a certain point. And if you're just there protesting, they're probably going to ask you to leave.
Yeah, I think Atlanta, especially here, somewhat recent, probably in the last month or so, they've started implementing, like, all right, you have to have a ticket to come in.
Yes.
Or they're going to at some point.
Yeah, they're going to, or you're with somebody that's got a ticket.
Right, you can't just walk by and just hang out here all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think things are getting better overall. I sent a message to Senator Ossoff's people yesterday. First of all, you always try to start with something funny, okay? So Senator Ossoff got included in this story about how Democrats need hotties to be able to get elected, and he got listed along with Gavin Newsom Maybe because they're both from California. Ha ha, it's a joke. He just gets his money from California. But anyway, they got listed as hotties. So I started out, I got his comms guy to laugh a little bit, right? And then I said, listen here, you just lost your perks from Delta. I said, you need Senator Ossoff. He won't take my advice. But I jokingly said, here's advice that usually people pay me for. Okay? You need to get your senator to be a leader, to gather up 5 or 6 Democrats and get them to vote in the DHS funding. And then, of course, he answered back, as every weasel communications person answers back, well, we've tried to vote on the TSA funding separately 8 times. That's not the point, folks. Here's the truth. The ICE and the DHS funding, the ICE and the Border Patrol funding is already approved through 2028. They're hurting people that they don't want to hurt, they say, just to make a point. And John Ossoff would be a hero to the people of Georgia. Just look at the interviews of the people waiting in line at the Atlanta airport. If he would get 5 or 6 senators together, it would show some leadership and get them to vote in the rest of this DHS funding. So he's not going to listen, but that's okay. Listen, I want to address one quick little thing. Yesterday we had Will Daughtry on, and he was kind of sitting with us talking about how he covers stories. And I really think he's a young man that's got a great future, as all the people here at WDUN are. We have a fantastic news department, but Will has shown a real affinity to be able to get some really good interviews. And so I had him on to kind of learn a little bit more about that. And somehow I'm not on these groups. So I'm speaking third hand, which I usually don't like to do. And if any of you are on those groups and want to call in, please do at 770-535-2911. The Concerned Citizens of Hall County, and I think it's like Hall Together or whatever the other group is, Hall United, whatever it is. What is it, Logan? Do you know what it is?
I believe it is Hall Informed.
Hall
is the
Informed.
other group.
Sorry. I'm not on those groups because I stay away from Facebook. Not because of any other reason other than I just don't think first read on most Facebook posts are accurate. Okay, I just don't. And you may differ with me and say my posts are accurate. Great, but right now I use Facebook for memories. The memories pop up, and I repost my memories if I do anything. So someone sent me a message saying the keyboard warriors are after you, and I couldn't get on to the groups because I don't need to belong to any more Facebook groups. But the implication was that we said that these groups were unethical. We did not say that. We were talking about how you search for a story and you can't just use one source. You got to use multiple sources, and you also have to check the facts. And that was our intention. I do think maybe Greg Poole maybe used the term unethical as it related to some other things, but I don't think you listened from start to finish if you made that assumption. So I'm just saying right now, if anybody there is listening and they want to call in, I'll certainly let you make your case. And I think these groups are good. I think it's great for communities to get involved. I just think that there is a power that some people get when they can just type a message in and not really have to have any accountability for it, that sometimes leads to more problems instead of solving problems. That's what I think about it. I don't use social media that much anymore. I use a little bit of X, but that's all I do. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take some phone calls. We'll take some text messages. 770-535-2911. We love being here with you. We'll be back.
It's your daily civics lesson.
If it's mentioned in the Constitution, the feds have final say over it, and immigration is one of those things mentioned in the Constitution.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, weekdays at 9 on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
This Easter season, join Free Chapel as we celebrate the sacrifice and the resurrection of our Savior. We're starting off on March 29th with our Palm Sunday services at 9 and 11 a.m. Then our special Good Friday services are on April 3rd at noon and 6 p.m. And join us for our Family Day on Saturday, April 4th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our Gainesville campus. And finally, Sunday, April 5th, our annual Easter services are 9 and 11 a.m. with worship and a powerful message from Pastor Jensen Franklin. For details and campus locations, visit freechapel.org.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
While technology has certainly changed the way people do business, it hasn't changed the way we treat our customers. It's Mike Cormier, and at Hardy Chevrolet, we are as committed to excellent customer service as the Hardys were when they started the business here in Gainesville over 4 decades ago. When it's time for a new or used vehicle, remember what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
I didn't switch to Pure Talk just because I wanted to save 50% off the same 5G service I'd been paying twice as much for. I switched because I like the idea of being in business with a wireless company that supports our veterans in a meaningful way. Pure Talk also creates American jobs every day by keeping their entire operation in this country. I appreciate that. If you feel the same, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, Governor Kemp announces that global biopharmaceutical company UCB plans to invest $2 billion in Gwinnett County. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
And when you look at us both as being first term, John Ossoff first term senator and me as a first term congressman, and what I've been able to accomplish, 2 pieces of legislation signed into law by 2 different presidents, 2 different parties, bipartisan common sense legislation. And the fact that John Ossoff has been on the opposite side of everything, every piece of legislation, was responsible for a lot of the problems that we have in this country, whether it was immigration, whether it was the fact that our economy was tanking and inflation going up. He goes and talks a good game, slick all the time. But when you take a look at how his voting record has stacked up, he has voted against every group that the agriculture industry is the #1 industry in this state. And
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Mike Collins, and I got to tell you, I think he's got the momentum right now in the Senate race. We're going to talk about all those things. I went and went to a Rick Jackson event last night just to kind of see what kind of lurk in the back of the room and see what was happening. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. And Jody White is with us right now from Hall Informed. Hey, Jody, how you doing?
Hi, Martha. I'm great. How are you?
Good.
I just want to be clear. I'm not a keyboard warrior. I spend most of my time, in fact, I'll let you know, I took over 50,000 miles in 1 year on my car, going to every single meeting this county holds. I pull open records. I go to sources. Anything I have that in fact, Will Daltrey has came to me and asked me for information. So all my stuff, I'm not going to speak for the other group. All my stuff, verified, backed, and certified. So I don't appreciate him saying that we don't do our due diligence, which he did. I do my due diligence. I sit in those meetings. He, like I said, he ain't been there for months. He watches a recorded video and gives a snidbit. Now, I don't think it's real fair to say that about somebody. I didn't say that about him or you, but I mean, did you come and ask me, hey, do you have facts to that? No, which I do. and I'd be willing to share them, no problem.
Well, and I've met with you before. I mean, and I've looked at data, and we weren't talking about you specifically. And the keyboard warrior quote was something someone sent to me. I did not say that. I was quoting that. Okay, so I just think you need to just not be so sensitive about it, because what we were talking about was how you research a story. Yeah, you have a particular bent that you go on, that you want to follow all these meetings, and that's really important work as a citizen. I don't criticize that at all. I'm not criticizing that at all. But what Will was talking about was how he covers stories and what we do, and there are challenges in covering stories today, because everything you read on social media is not true. Okay? And you cannot use that as a main source of information. So that's all we're saying.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. You cannot use anything that you even on media. I can't take anything that he wrote as a story and take it in court and use that up in the court of law.
Not anybody. Not anybody. Because this is not about Will. Will is doing a great job in.
No, I agree. I think Will does great. I think he does a great job. I'll agree with you. I've had many conversations with Will. I just think that, just because there's different outlets, that, we shouldn't sit here and say one is better than the other. I mean, I think you give great information about state stuff, great information about all of the state stuff. So there's other people here that have a little more about local stuff. But to say my stuff isn't credible, I do a lot of work, and it's not that I'm upset about it or that, but I just want people to know that I spend a lot of time. Most of the times I leave my house at probably 7 a.m. and don't pull back in my driveway until about 9, 10 o'clock. And I spend a lot of my own time, my own money, and I get paid $0 to do this, okay? So to call me a keyboard warrior, I know you didn't, so whoever gave you that comment, I think they need to really maybe look at what I do and maybe think, you know what, my whole goal in this was I would love to see government and citizens work together and us have a better Hall County.
So have you ever thought about running for office?
A lot of people have asked me that, and that is just really not on my heart right now to do that. I would love to support all of them that are running, and I think every single person that's running, whether they're my choice or not, I support everybody that's running because it's a job, and it's a lot of work. I support them all. I
honestly do wish people would go to meetings the way you do, because we talked about this when we met. My biggest complaint about citizens, I mean, not all citizens, of course, is that we promote this stuff. We not just us, but there's other news outlets. There's ways to know we promote these meetings. Not that many people go. And then we cover the meetings, but then people don't get mad until the vote's already taken. And so once the vote's already taken, there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe not nothing, but it takes more time if a vote's already been taken, because then you have to redo the vote or do whatever you have to do. And so my biggest complaint about citizenry, if you will, is that, I know it's hard to go to the meetings, and I think the meetings need to be more accessible too. I have a big beef with the Hall County Board of School Board because they have their meetings at awkward times, and they don't offer replays of the meetings where people who can't. Actually, there's nothing wrong.
They do now.
They do now. Okay, great. They didn't for a long time.
Yes. They started that January of this year.
Oh, okay. So it just happened, and I had a heart attack, and so I've been out of commission for a few weeks. So that's great, because they should do that. I mean, there's no reason to not have it available, and it's not any less valuable if you're in person or you watch it, as long as you stay involved.
You stay involved, and I agree with you 100%. We need more citizen involvement, and once the vote's done, it's hard or next to impossible to get it changed. And the only thing I do is I encourage citizens, come see what we're seeing. And I'm not, putting anything out there that's not untrue. If somebody puts something out there that I think is not true. I've even shut down comments on my post when I thought people were putting things that were out there and completely not true. I've shut down comments, and I've been
So let me ask you,
that.
do you if you get concerned about something, do you wait before you post? Do you have like a rule of thumb, like you wait to be sure that you're not acting from emotion or whatever, or do you respond pretty quickly?
Most of my posts that I do, like videos or something, I wait and those come out and I think about those. If somebody posts something and I know the answer to it quickly off the top of my head and I'm accessible, I'll answer it pretty quickly. If it's somebody that's going to attack me because I was born and raised in Ohio and I moved here 15 years ago, I'm going to come back and say, I'm a taxing citizen and I have just as much right as you do.
Absolutely.
You know,
I've been here since 1991 and people think I'm not from here. But anyway, thank you so much, Jody, for calling in. I appreciate it very much.
Yep.
And look, I'll go back and listen again, but I don't think that we said that she was not credible either. But I'll go back and listen to it. And I think that she heard, sometimes you hear more than what was said, and so I'll take a look at it. But I want to put this to bed because what I love about what we do here is that we are accessible and we are available, and that's what we like to do. We're part of this community. I'm right here on the square. We just had, 300 kids go by on their way to their candy rush before breakfast or before lunch.
Nothing like getting a little bit of extra sugar to start your morning.
Nothing like getting chocolate in the morning. I'm kind of for that. Okay?
I'm about to say, they're living a great life right now.
So we're part of this community. We've been part of this community for 77 years coming up here next month, and I understand what you're saying, and you know what, Jody, she says a lot of true things, but I bet she's had a lot of people ask her, "You're from Ohio. Why are you talking about this stuff?" Because I did notice she didn't have a 770 phone number, and I know what she feels like. Anyway, we're going to get to the issues of the day. We thought we'd have Tony West with us today, but he's got a sinus infection. So we'll keep talking with you at 770-535-2911.
Great drinks, great company, and every sip makes a difference. Join the Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier for the 3rd annual club crawl on Saturday, March 28th from 12 to 4 at Cumming City Center. We're kicking things off at Crooked Culture Brewing, then heading to participating spots including Tin Cup Grill, The Well, and Los Rios Cantina. Tickets are $50 and include drinks at every participating stop, plus your own Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier pint glass to take home. Your ticket makes a real difference for kids right here in your community. Grab your friends and get your tickets now at boysgirlsclubs.com. Let's do something good together. Club Crawl, March 28th.
Attention, Antifa, human traffickers, cartels, and woke DAs. With Chris Carr as governor, you won't stand a chance.
I'm Chris Carr. In Georgia, we will prosecute you. It's easy for politicians to talk tough, but I'm the only Republican who put gangs, human traffickers, and Antifa behind bars. I even fought Obama, Biden, and Abrams in court and won. If you're attacking our police or our freedoms, I'll be your worst nightmare.
Chris Carr doesn't just talk tough. Carr had the courage, brought the cases, and locked up the criminals. He has more than 120 gang convictions. Over 200 human trafficking victims have been rescued and seized enough fentanyl to kill 3.5 million Georgians. Carr's taking on the woke left, making crime illegal again. As governor, Chris Carr will keep up the fight and never back down. Chris Carr, governor. Real fights, real wins, real conservative. Paid for by Carver, Georgia.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. Homeland Security shutdown, the human impact goes beyond security. Hearings on Capitol Hill as the new DHS director tries to wrangle Democrats like Senator Chuck Schumer demanding ICE reform to approve funding.
We have to rein in ICE
and stop the violence. We need reform.
But ICE is already funded, and it's TSA, Coast Guard, Secret Service, and FEMA paying in pain. The TSA director will testify. Unpaid workers missing payments, facing fines and eviction. Some agents sleeping in their cars to save gas money as some security lines exceed 4 hours. President Trump says Iran sent a present that shows he's talking to the right people, sending a 15-point peace plan to end the war via Pakistan. A New Mexico jury finds Meta misled users about the safety of Facebook and Insta and failed a state law to protect children from predators, fining Meta $375 million. America's listening to Fox.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a Gainesville City School student was found in the woods behind a NODA Multiple Intelligences Academy by herself after a brief search Tuesday. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins explains.
According to the Gainesville City School System, the fourth grade student went to the restroom and did not return to class. Surrounding areas were searched, and the student was found alone in the woods behind the school after the Gainesville Police Department was called in to assist. Parents were notified about the situation by the school system.
A new inland port facility in Hall County is set to open in less than 2 months. More from WDUN's Hamilton Keener.
The Georgia Ports Authority says the Gainesville Inland Port will open on May 4th. The project is located on White Sulphur Road near Cagle Road, less than a mile from Georgia 365. The rail yard will allow goods to be shipped by train directly to Hall County from the Port of Savannah, where they can then be picked up by trucks for distribution. The Ports Authority says the project is expected to cut down on tens of thousands of truck round trips between Savannah and Northeast Georgia within the first year.
And the Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier received federal funds for 2 new vans, as WDUN's William Daughtry explains.
U.S. Senator John Ossoff has announced $190,000 in funding from the Bipartisan Appropriations Act that became law on February 3rd. Senator Ossoff said in a release that he brought Republicans and Democrats together to help kids across North Georgia get to and from the club.
You'll find more details and more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies continue. Highs this afternoon in the mid-60s. More cloud cover tonight, turning partly cloudy towards daybreak. Low 50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Sugar Hill, 48 degrees, in Sawtee, Nakuchi, 45, and in Gainesville, 47. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
What if my parents suddenly need help? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've helped many people in your situation. With sound advice and planning, there's no reason why you can't help your loved ones as they need extended care late in life. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
With a conversation about how to advance their legislative priorities turned into a thorny question. What to do about Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer?
That is incredible right there. Yeah. That's like a place for mom. Like, they're having the uncomfortable conversation. All right, what are we going to do about Chuck?
Somebody's got to get her driver's license first.
That's the thing. We got to take his car keys.
And then we slip the brochure across the table.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and there'll be a lot of talk about Chuck Schumer and all the things that are happening with him. He won't be the majority leader for much longer, and that'll be worse for the Democrats, if you want to know the truth. You know, if they were smart, honestly, they'd put somebody like John Fetterman in the leadership, but they're not going to do that because they're too beholden to their donors. But I want to bring it back to the Georgia governor's race. A group that is that is a group that is supporting Burt Jones. It's one of these super PACs. And it put out a mailer today that claimed that on the 3rd of March, Rick Jackson said Georgia can't afford to eliminate the income tax. But the quote, that's the 3rd of March, 2026. That's like what? What's today? The
25th today.
25th, so that would have been 22 days ago?
Yeah, just over 3 weeks.
Okay, he was in the race for governor then. It was actually a Democratic legislator by the name of Kim Jackson, not Rick Jackson, Kim Jackson. And I bet in the thing it said, Jackson said, it probably, you know how you do it in a story. At the beginning of the story, you give the person's full name and title.
Right.
And then as you're going into the story, you might just call them by their last name,
Yeah,
or
that's common.
something like that. Yeah. So they took it in, and she's so funny because she has responded to it by saying, well, I'm glad my sensible policy ideas are getting some free airtime. So anyway, folks, here's what I think is going to happen in the governor's race. I went to a Rick Jackson event, and look, I support Chris Carr, okay? I think Chris is the best choice. But I don't live in Delusionalville where I don't see what the numbers are. There's new polling that's come out today that shows Rick Jackson way ahead in double digits and being way ahead among women, which is a big deal, okay? So I'm not delusional. I can still have my opinion about who the best person is. But I think what's going to happen is that Burt Jones is in this maniacal place right now, Lieutenant Governor Jones, where I don't know if it's his staff or it's him, but his name is on it. Okay, this is my number one piece of advice I always give to candidates, is that do not forget that no one will know the name of your consultant, okay? But they will know your name if you make a big mistake or if you do something that doesn't sound like you, okay? You will know that. So if Burt Jones keeps doing these mail pieces that somebody signed off on that turn out not to be accurate, it's going to cost him. And I think what happens is that Burt Jones and Rick Jackson are going to fight it out. I think Burt is going to go too far, and it's going to really hurt him with Republican primary voters. And he's going to end up in 3rd place. He's not going to get in the runoff. And that either Raffensperger or Carr, and I think it's more likely Chris Carr, will do well enough to get into the runoff. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, there's also a slight chance. If you remember, in 2002, Sonny Perdue had 6 people in the Republican primary, and he won without a runoff. And it was because of the King Rat ad. I don't know if you ever remember that. But Sonny is a wealthy man, but he's not like Rick Jackson in the way that Rick's willing to put the amount of money in it takes to win, and he's not worried about doing donations, okay? Sonny was, if I can't raise the money to run the race, then I'm not going to do it. And he had 3 or 4 guys from Kennesaw State that hadn't even finished college that were helping him and working for almost nothing. They don't work for nothing anymore. They make millions of dollars. And Nick Ayers is actually running Rick Jackson's campaign. And you've got this situation where we've got a lot of different things that are happening in this governor's race. And so I think it's going to be, Rick Jackson could win without a runoff. And he's the only one that I think could win without a runoff. But we'll see what happens. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. I want to get to this Greg Bluestein comment because I think it's really important to get the numbers on this. So let me see if I can pull this up real quickly on this, because I think he does a really good job of putting the numbers in here. He's also written an article. Here's the numbers here. Pro Burt Jones mailer hitting conservative households this week is an attack on Jackson says no to eliminating the income tax. There's just one problem. It never says which Jackson. I mean, that seems a little shady. Like almost they knew it was the wrong Jackson, but they figured they just put it in the mailer and then they could say, well, I'm telling the truth.
I would hope that's not the case. Just journalistic ethics training that I've had throughout my college career and since I've been here. But I mean, look, we see this a lot with I see it a lot with teams or someone saying, oh, hey, let's tag this certain player on Twitter, right? And it's just some random guy that's not even a part of the team.
That has a big following.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you'll see, false attributions like that. But, yeah, not a great look overall, though.
I mean, I'll admit, okay, I do this podcast called TMI with Terrell and Martha that's a wellness podcast. And I did make a reference to the Thank a Boomer t-shirt that the Ruthless Podcast does. Ruthless Podcast is one of the, biggest podcasts on YouTube. And so I did actually mention them, though, in the thing. And I said, be sure to tag them in this when we put it out, because that will help us get traffic. And
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's the name of the game right now. I had a very sad meeting with one of these SEO experts, which that's the thing you do to try to get more traffic to your website.
Yes, search engine optimization.
On my own Martha Zoller content. And it was very sad, Logan. I'm not tagging things the right way. I think I am, because I'm tagging them based on the topics that are in there. But if you don't do it the right way, you end up with a 60% score instead of 100% score. And then you're not as likely to get traffic. I'm just confused.
There's so much out there, and it changes so constantly.
I have never said this before in my life, but I think I'm too old for this technology. I mean, I've adapted to technology really well.
Right.
But I think this is a step too far for me.
It is a lot. Like you said, you think you have the perfect sentence, right, for describing whatever you have. You have all the great hashtags or whatever, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, how come it's not getting the views that I want?
Yeah, and it's just the way I feel about it, and I know this is old school, but it's I've been around forever. If people are going to like me, they're going to like me. If they're not, they're not.
Exactly,
but there are people, that just search for things to watch. I mean, I still, my daughter was funny. She says, don't tell me you watch these gossip podcasts. I said, yeah, I do. I watch them. And then once you start watching them, you get more of them.
Right.
Yep.
You start getting recommended different ones.
Yeah, recommended different ones. And it's so weird because it started out with the political podcast that I watch. And then one of the political podcasts I watch has a little bit of gossip in it that makes it a little more interesting. And then I started getting all these gossip ones.
Yep, and that's how they hook you. That's how they get you.
I do love YouTube, though. I mean, YouTube is amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But it's very dangerous because you can, in 6 clicks, get somewhere you don't want to be.
Right.
I mean, and that's the reason why we limit it with my grandchildren, because theirs was 6 clicks to Russian toy videos, and things that just sucked their time, and that's what we didn't want to do. But that's really what social media is, a time suck.
Thankfully, a lot of the places now, a lot of the social media channels or YouTube, whatever it may be, they have a kids option, for certain ages, which helps. So you don't have to go down those rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But like you said, on YouTube, especially just because it's been around for so long at this point, and there's just billions upon billions of things out there, you can really go down some deep holes that you never even thought would be allowed on there.
Yeah. I am going to reach out to the press office at Burt Jones's campaign, though, and ask them if they have a comment about this mailer who, takes a, quote, Jackson quote, but it's from Kim Jackson and not Rick Jackson. And, Jackson is a pretty common last name, so maybe it was just a mistake. But I happen to know that these mailers go through a lot of processes. And anytime you're going to make a claim about someone, it goes through several other processes. But I do know the person that is the lead consultant for Rick, not for Rick Jackson. Well, I know the Rick Jackson one too, but for Burt Jones. And he is a guy that pulls this kind of stuff. He pulls this kind of, shady stuff that's, a little bit true, but not totally true. He did it with me. He's done it with a lot of other people. So that could be what it is. Could be what it is. We'll take a break.
All the updates on the way home.
Afternoons move faster with the essential updates you need.
Your show is just so informative.
It's The Drive at 5, weekdays on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Great drinks, great company, and every sip makes a difference. Join the Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier for the 3rd annual club crawl on Saturday, March 28th from 12 to 4 at Cumming City Center. We're kicking things off at Crooked Culture Brewing, then heading to participating spots including Tin Cup Grill, The Well, and Los Rios Cantina. Tickets are $50 and include drinks at every participating stop, plus your own Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier pint glass to take home. Your ticket makes a real difference for kids right here in your community. Grab your friends and get your tickets now at boysgirlsclubs.com. Let's do something good together. Club Crawl, March 28th.
Hi, this is Pastor Whit Martin of Asbury Chapel, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to our Asbury Community Easter Egg Hunt. On Sunday, March 29th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., we'll gather together on the Midland Greenway with bouncy houses, King of Pops, and crafts. We hope that you'll come celebrate Easter with us Sunday, March 29th, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Go to the website for more, asburychapel.net. We hope you'll join us and have a happy Easter.
Something new is coming to your neighborhood. This April, Exchange Bank is opening in Brazelton. I'm Anna Hollis, and for over 122 years, we've been Middle Georgia's community bank, offering our personalized service and our commitment to being a place where community matters. Now we're bringing that same commitment to Brazelton. We can't wait to be your neighbor and help your financial dreams grow. Learn more at exch.bank. Exchange Bank, member FDIC.
Spring is calling. Are you ready to grow? At Full Bloom Nursery, we're kicking off the spring season with 5 acres of perennial shrubs and trees, all ready for your next outdoor project. This is Julie. I'd like to invite you to come experience the difference of a true nursery. Take a stroll through our display gardens and let our knowledgeable staff help you choose the perfect plant for your space. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 9 to 2. Learn more at fullbloomnursery.com and follow us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, the Georgia Ports Authority says the $134 million Gainesville Inland Port project is set to open in May. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
You got vodka? Very nice. You got vodka in there? Very
I wish.
I wish. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the service.
You're happy with ice?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that. I'm happy for the ice. Thank you for the service.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we've got another piece of audio that I was going to use in segment 1 that I'm going to call for in just a minute. So that was a gentleman that was just given a bottle of water by an ICE agent. And, you know, look, I'm not so naive as to think that probably when these guys got deployed to these airports, which there have been a couple of arrests that have happened, that, you know, I'm sure there are occasional arrests inside airports, period. Okay. There've been a couple of arrests, but I'm not so naive as to think that they probably weren't told to, you know, be sure you're super nice when you go out because your face is going to be showing, all of that kind of stuff, because these ICE agents, to be fair, are a little scared because they're not so much for themselves because they're well trained, contrary to what Hakeem Jeffries says, but they worry about their families. I mean, you shouldn't do a job and then have your face put up there for somebody to go after your family. That's just not right. So let's play this audio. This is, again, Scott Jennings on CNN talking about how much better ICE made things.
And some airlines out there are getting fed up with Congress. Delta announced today they're going to end all special priority perks for lawmakers as long as this DHS shutdown is ongoing and TSA workers aren't being paid. Until it gets fixed, Brett, Congress is going to be treated like the rest of us.
Good for Delta.
Yeah, good for Delta. Also, we got a text message in that said, hey, ask him if it was from Michael Jackson. That was funny.
Michael Jackson, maybe Reggie Jackson. I don't know. There's a couple of famous ones out there you can go for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so crazy. So I did get a response back from the Burt Jones campaign because it was a super PAC that put it out there. They don't have a comment on it. And I understand that's legitimate. But, you know, I still think that's what's going to happen here. I think that either someone working for Burt Jones or Burt Jones is going to go one step too far and people are going to start peeling off. the big number that I think is really interesting is the women's vote related to Rick Jackson. Is that he has got a lot of women that want to vote for him. And this morning he had an event in, I want to say it was Watkinsville, but it wasn't Watkinsville, but it was near there, that was standing room only. And Patricia Murphy was there. So it'll be interesting to say, what's happened. I'm trying to find this. Okay, here is the most recent polling right here. Rick Jackson is at, I want to make sure I get this number right, close to 40%. Burt Jones is about 20%. Raffensperger is just below that, and Chris Carr is at the bottom right now with the polling. But where you've seen the biggest impact is first on Burt Jones's vote. Right when Rick Jackson got into the race, Burt Jones's polling went way down and has stayed pretty flat since then. He's gone up a little bit since he's gone negative, so he's not going to stop going negative. But Raffensperger, interestingly, he took a big drop about 2 weeks ago. And so we'll see what happens. And again, the only polling that matters, the only polling that matters is when you go to the polls. So it's like that. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. So there's a lot of things that are happening with these state races. And I would, kind of agree with Jody, is that maybe what we need to do is pay a little more attention to the local races that are out there. So what I'm going to try to do for you is just kind of give you a rundown of what we have so far. And we're going to be in the process of getting these interviews done and getting them on a page on Access WDUN where you can refer to them before you go to vote. I'm sure we're going to put sample ballots, all that kind of stuff on there so that you'll have that. You can also go to Georgia Votes, which is an app, and look up all that kind of information too. But we've talked a lot about the governor's race. There's like 8 Republican candidates and 8 Democrat candidates. Okay, so there's a lot of candidates, and you're going to walk in and you're going to see that. For lieutenant governor, there's 7 Republican candidates and 3 Democrat candidates. And we'll get to all of those later. I'm not going to list all those names because I want to focus on the local, but I'm just giving you a overview. Secretary of State, there are 5 Republican candidates and 4 Democrat candidates. Attorney General, there are 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Ag Commissioner, there's 1 Republican and 2 Democrats. Insurance Commissioner, there's 1 Republican and 5 Democrats. Labor Commission, there's 1 Republican and 5 Democrats. Public Service Commission, there's 1 Republican and 2 Democrats. 1 Democrat and 2 Republicans. There's 3 Republicans for District 5 and 3 Democrats. State School Superintendent, there are 5 Republicans and 3 Democrats. And so those are all the big state races. And I love Brian Kemp, but because Brian Kemp did not run for the U.S. Senate, we have this fruit basket turnover so that the legislature and the constitutional officers are going to look very different next year. That may be great, but I'm just making you aware of it. So here's where we are, though, in local races. For Hall County Commissioner District 1, Kathy Cooper is the incumbent, and there are 3 people running with her. So there are 4 Republicans. That will be determined in the May primary because there are no Democrats running. It's really important for you to get out in May to vote. For District 3, which is North Hall, where I live, there are 3 Republican candidates, no Democrats. Okay, so again, that will be decided in the May primary. Hall County Board of Education, Post 2, there's 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, so the primary doesn't matter. In that one, you got to vote in the general. Hall County Board of Education at large, there are 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. So that, again, will have a primary and a runoff. Solicitor General, people a lot of times don't know. We're going to have those candidates in. Solicitor General, there are 2 Republican candidates, so it will be decided in the May primary. We've got the same thing with Attorney General. district attorney in Hall County. It will be decided in the May primary. I'm not going to go through all the counties, Banks County, Habersham, all that kind of stuff, but I think it's really important that you look at one of your sample ballots and understand that there are a lot of races that are going to be decided in this May primary, which means it's important for you to get out. So I know a lot of my friends, or not a lot of my friends, some of my friends that say, oh, I'm just going to wait till it's down to 2 candidates and then I'm going to vote. Well, if you've got a number of races that are going to be decided in the May primary, then you're going to have a number of things you don't have a voice on if you wait to vote until November. So I hope that you will get out and vote for all these elections. And we'll give you the timeline again. We'll have that all on the election page. We'll do all those sort of things. So I know this was a lot of time spent on these local elections and kind of how they're going to lay out. But I think it's really important that we focus as much on the local as we do on state and federal. And I'm guilty too. You know, I spend a lot of time on state and federal races, but the local races are good. And also, I love it if a couple of people that don't usually go to these county meetings kind of think about it, pray about it, and decide to start going, kind of see for themselves what goes on. And I go from time to time. I don't go a lot, but I usually watch it afterwards, okay, because that's just easier for me. Plus, I've been recovering for a while, and, you know, I'm trying not to put too much traveling on my plate. But, you know, make sure you're as involved as you can be and watch videos, you know, afterwards if you can. Talk to people. Again, with all due respect to Jody and the work that she does on Hall Informed, don't take everything you read on social media at face value. Okay? Don't take everything you hear on face value. What's the old P.T. Barnum quote? Believe half of what you hear and, you know, half of what you read. I'm going to look that up in the break because I want to get it right. But this is not a new problem that people feel unsure if what they hear is true. That's not a new problem. It's just exacerbated by social media. We'll be back.
You don't need the luck of the Irish or follow the rainbow to find a pot of gold.
Just get to Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville, where you'll get 115% of book value for your trade. And during our Saving of the Green sales event, discover as low as 0% APR financing on popular models like the 2026 Santa Fe. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance. Don't just wear green. Come save green at Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway, off I-985 in Gainesville, or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
Iran will not accept a ceasefire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what state media is reporting now, that Iran's received a U.S. proposal to end the conflict now in day 26 as President Trump insists they want to make a deal.
Now officials here are floating a 15-point peace plan to end the war once and for all.
Fox's Peter Ducey is at the White House.
Part of the group that created all these problems in Iran, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, has a spokesman saying about these negotiations, have your internal conflicts reached the point where you are negotiating with yourselves? Our our first and last word has been the same from day one, and it will stay that way. Someone like us will never come to terms with someone like you.
Now, Iran has offered to let non-hostile ships move through the Strait of Hormuz after Trump threats to allow oil shipping, or else the attacks will ramp up. So oil prices are falling and stocks are surging. The Dow has been up about 500 points. Now to the airport.
I feel like cattle, just going through these lines for nothing. It's crazy.
He's in an hours-long security line at Bush International in Houston that snakes downstairs, outside, around the building, as more TSA agents unpaid for more than a month don't show up, leading to similar lines at other airports. And a House hearing focusing on that is about to start on day 40 of the standoff in Congress, holding up funding for Homeland Security.
In an opening statement obtained by Reuters, acting TSA Administrator Hal McNeil says TSA agents are sleeping in their cars at airports to save gas money, selling their blood and plasma, and taking on second and third jobs to make ends meet.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera. Still no sign of Nancy Guthrie, believed kidnapped from her Arizona home nearly 2 months ago. The 84-year-old's daughter. Today Show host Savannah Guthrie said on NBC this morning,
someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony. We are in agony. It is unbearable.
America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a new inland port facility in Hall County is set to open in less than 2 months. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins has the update.
The Georgia Ports Authority says the Gainesville Inland Port will open on May 4th. The $134 million project is located on White Sulphur Road near Cagle Road, less than a mile from Georgia 365. The rail yard will allow goods to be shipped by train directly to Hall County from the Port of Savannah, where they can then be picked up by trucks for distribution. The Ports Authority said the project is expected to cut down on tens of thousands of truck round trips between Savannah and Northeast Georgia within the first year.
2 people were reportedly transported to the hospital for injuries following a wreck at an intersection in Gainesville Wednesday morning. WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
The Hall County Sheriff's Office says the intersection of Atlanta Highway at Memorial Park Drive was closed for about 2 hours beginning at midnight to investigate the wreck. Eyewitness accounts reported that the wreck was between a commercial van and another vehicle, leaving debris across multiple lanes. No information was released regarding if citations and charges will be raised against any drivers. The cause of the wreck remains under investigation.
The celebration for Hall County's library system is about to get underway after it previously was named the 2025 Georgia Public Library of the Year. Hall County Library System is throwing a party to celebrate at their Gainesville branch Monday, March 30th at 4 p.m. Back in January, the Georgia Public Library Service recognized Hall County System's progress in expansion of services despite the financial challenges in recent years. More details about the party can be found at Access WDUN and online at the Hall County Government Facebook page. And long lines are reportedly a bit better at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport as midweek arrives. Passengers reported waits yesterday morning of roughly 30 minutes, which was a significant improvement from the day before. Additional Atlanta police and ICE agents are on hand to help with any issues at the airport as far as security access goes. The airport's website still urges passengers to allow at least 4 hours for domestic and international screenings. You can find out more details and more news by going online at Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN forecast from meteorologist Holly Strano.
A great Wednesday morning to you, North Georgia. Mostly cloudy skies continue. Highs this afternoon in the mid-60s. More cloud cover tonight, at least mainly cloudy skies to start, turning partly cloudy towards daybreak, and low 50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
Right now in Blairsville, 47 degrees, in Winder, 51, and in Gainesville, we've reached 50 degrees. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9. WDUN.
Northeast Georgia's premier dermatology providers at Dermatology Associates of Northeast Georgia offers medical and cosmetic dermatology services to keep your skin healthy and radiant. Our experienced medical providers remind you of the importance of annual skin exams to help prevent skin cancer. With 1 in 5 Americans facing this risk, booking your annual full skin exam is essential to your well-being. Contact us to book your appointment at any of our 3 locations in Gainesville, Demarest, or Dahlonega. Visit us online at negeorgiaderm.com to learn more.
Should you make your trust the beneficiary of your IRA?
So many say you shouldn't, but we say you should. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and if you want your IRA to be protected for your surviving spouse, children, or family, then you should leave it to them at your death through a trust. For more information, go to my website, kevintharp.com.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
There's important breaking news coming into the Situation Room. We're now learning from a senior Iranian source that there has been an outreach between the U.S. and Iran. The source tells CNN that this was initiated by Washington. With us now, CNN military analyst, retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Layton, and CNN Global Affairs. There's important break.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show, and I think what's interesting is CNN had poo-pooed earlier that there were talks going on, and so they had to correct their own story without saying, hey, we're correcting the story. They just had to say we had learned. And it looks like with the Marines going in now to try to open up the Strait of Hormuz, that there are going to be some talks that are going to go on between Iran and the United States. I mean, the president has said he thinks that there's somebody that they can work with. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Now, we got a text message in that said Jackson had the event in Winder this morning. It was packed, and that's correct. It was Winder. I knew it was Winder, Watkinsville, one of those kind of areas. I went to an event last night for him, and my friend Eric Erickson, who's also a talk show host, made a comment today on top of Patricia Murphy's story, saying the only candidate he's getting asked about right now by anybody is Rick Jackson, and I can agree with that. I think that all the other governor's candidates are struggling to get relevance. Burt Jones should have the easiest time because he's got first the Trump endorsement, but he also, since he's the lieutenant governor and he's in the news every day because of the legislative session, he ought to be getting a lot of traction. Now, initially in the polling, as soon as Rick got in, Burt took a huge dump in the polls. He's recovering some, and they expect that because he's gone completely negative against Rick Jackson. And then Rick has been, and he got asked this question last night, women don't really like negative advertising, political advertising. Men don't like it much either, but women really don't like it. And so he got asked about it, and he said, look, I don't want to be negative. It's not my nature to be negative. But if I'm attacked, I'm going to attack back. He said, I learned living in the projects, because he lived in Techwood Homes. I learned living in the projects that if you let stuff go, then you get bullied. And he says he's not going to be bullied. And he told this amazing story. I mean, this is such a 70s and 80s story because I know a lot of you think things have changed, and to some degree they have. But in the 70s and 80s, you had a lot of baby boomers coming of age, and there was just booming happening. What people forget, and the reason why it's a little more difficult to manage the world than it was then, is that in the post-war world, the whole developed world was destroyed except for the United States. Europe was destroyed. Japan was destroyed, and they weren't that developed prior to that. But still, anywhere that you would think of today as being places that might have manufacturing and businesses was destroyed. And so for about 30 years, the United States was really the only game in town. Okay, they were where the manufacturing was, they were where the growth was, and there was a huge amount of growth that happened for the boomers. And not to say it's not going to happen for other people too. There's just more competition now. And I think more competition is good, quite frankly. But he talked about he went for his first job interview and he aged out of foster care. He got married when he was 19. Now, his wife is a Georgia Tech professor and is dealing with some health issues right now. And so we won't see her on the campaign trail for a while, but she is chomping at the bit to get on the get on the campaign trail. But Rick is out there, and he even said one of the benefits about being an older guy is that people don't expect to see your wife and kids with you everywhere you go when you're an older guy. You can just go out on your own. But it's interesting because he has really ignited people to ask. I don't hear anybody asking about any of the candidates. This Monday, we're going to have Chris Carr at the Rotary Club, and we're looking forward to that. And he'll be talking about really his AG job. He won't be talking about his governor's campaign. But everybody who asks me a question, who calls me up, who maybe sends me a message out of the blue, or maybe bumps into me somewhere, the next thing they're going to ask me about is Rick Jackson. And I have said from the beginning of this that if you deny that Rick Jackson has totally upended this, he said last night, I'm having to do a 2-year campaign in 2.5 months. But what I'm hoping is going to come out of this is that people will stop doing 2-year campaigns. But anyway, he was telling the story about how he went to work. He went to apply for a job, and they wouldn't hire him because he was he hadn't graduated from college. And he said, okay, well, what's the salary for this job? And this is a long time ago. So it was $1,100 a month and 33 or 35% commission. And he says, well, how about if I just work for commission and I don't take the salary? Will you hire me? Because he needed a job. He was married. He was getting ready to have a family. And they said, okay, we'll hire you just for commission. In a year, he bought the company. He did so well that in a year, he bought the company. And in addition to working for this company, he was selling Georgia Tech tickets, and he was had a paper route. He did all kinds of other little jobs, anything to make money. Anything to make money. He was living in a trailer, and he bought the company. And he said, I'm not a controlling person when it comes to people, but I like to control my environment, and it takes money to control your environment. I think that's really interesting, an interesting statement. But someone, the thing that changed his life was that in Techwood Homes, the churches would come and have buses that would take you to church, and somebody stepped off one of those buses and asked him to go to church. And he started going to church, and he found some hope there from the situation that he was dealing with. And so, he's an interesting guy, and he has changed the race. He has changed the race. He has changed the governor's race in a positive way, I think. The way Brian Kemp changed all the other races by deciding not to run for Senate. And it's yet to be seen if it's going to be positive or not. But the legislature is going to look very different next year. And all of the constitutional officers are going to look very different next year, with the exception of the insurance commissioner and the ag commissioner. I think they're going to win without a problem. They don't have any opposition in their primaries, and they'll be able to spend all their time working on the general election. But I think that everyone else could be different. I'm not saying incumbents aren't going to win, but I'm just saying everyone else could be different, and it's going to be a very different time for us. We'll take a break.
On Wednesday's edition of The Drive at 5, we'll bring you home from work. We'll have all the day's top stories and have a little fun as well. Join us at 5 o'clock here on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Does your office technology slow your team down? Nothing is more frustrating than printers that jam, copiers that won't connect, and service providers that don't follow through. You and your team deserve technology that works. I'm Matt Nick, president of Duplicating Products, and for over 50 years, we've helped North Georgia offices eliminate bottlenecks, reduce downtime, and get reliable support for office technology. Our promise, we do what we say we will do. If you're tired of office equipment headaches, it's time for a change. Visit us today at duplicatingproducts.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Beatles, president of your Atlanta Falcons and also proud supporter of Eagle Ranch. My family and the Falcons have been involved with the ranch for many years. Eagle Ranch has expanded its services to meet the increased needs in our community, to include outpatient counseling, a day school program, a residential program, and other therapeutic services that are both affordable and accessible. Learn more at eagleranch.org. That's eagleranch.org.
I'm Carla Baker, Executive Director of Hall Dawson Casa. Every day, children in foster care face challenges no child should face alone. Our volunteers stand beside them, providing stability when their world feels uncertain.
I'm Andy Stewart, CASA Board Chair and Executive Vice President at Peach State Bank. We're proud to partner with CASA. When we invest in children, we invest in our community's future.
You can help. Become a volunteer. Become a donor.
Together
we can change a child's story.
Peach State Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Rise and shine with M&R Equipment and Rental. Your project success is our first job of the day. Whether it's landscaping, construction, or home renovation, we've got your back with our wide range of high-quality tools and equipment. We make starting your day easy. Simply pick your tool, choose your rental period, and get down to business. No job is too big or small. From saws to skid steers, we've got you covered and at prices that won't break your budget. Visit us at mnrrental.com. We're here to help you build a brighter tomorrow.
Getting out of bed is easier when you have something to look forward to, especially if that something is a delicious Dairy Queen biscuit. Right now, you can get 2 homemade sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits at Dairy Queen for just $6.
We interrupt this commercial to let you know that the Mint Oreo Blizzard is now available at Dairy Queen. We now return you to your regularly scheduled commercial.
A new Blizzard flavor and a breakfast special? There's plenty to look forward to at Dairy Queen of Gainesville, Shallowford Road and Green Street, and Frontage Road in Oakwood. Breakfast available only at Gainesville locations. Blizzards available at all 3.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a special election will now be held for the state Senate seat in District 7 for Gwinnett County. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The longer you can wait to put your kids online, the better.
Yes.
Or use technologies like y'all have that limit it. Know that it's out there and share that, because you will be so glad that you did.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Chris Carr. And, you know, I love Chris Carr. I think that he has got the best set of skills to be governor. You know, but the thing about it is we're really blessed in Georgia that we got several people running that have great skills. We had Clark Dean in here, which is one of those also run candidates that probably doesn't have much of a chance, but he was a fantastic person. But everything's about timing, you know. I mean, I still have people that come up to me and go, "Oh, Martha, aren't you going to run for something again?" No, I'm not. You know, I might, and I say no, I might consider like running for a state house seat at some point in time. But really, I want to be healthy and happy. I want to do this job the best that I can. And I want to be able to travel with my husband. I love my kids and my grandkids, you know, and I spend time with them whenever I can, but they're not the center of my universe, which makes me probably sound like a horrible person. But I feel like they were the center of my universe for so long that the wake-up call I got with my heart attack was like, okay, I need to really think about what I can accomplish and how to keep myself as low stress as possible. You know, I did have a moment, though, I'll admit it, where I was sitting there and the thing that flashed across, it's true that your life flashes in front of you because you start thinking about things so fast. And I thought, I'm never going to talk to my husband again, and I'm never going to talk to my kids again. And it made me really sad. But thank God it didn't end up that way. And do you know what? I think my cousin was always so funny. When my grandmother died, my cousin was a lot older than I was. I was the oops baby in the family. And she said, and this is totally not biblical at all, but I still remember it. She said that heart attacks and things like that is like God has a filing, a card catalog. And he pulls one out and he goes, oops, I'm not ready for this person yet, and puts them back in. And that's like a heart attack or stroke or something like that. And I still remember that. I was 13 years old, and she was trying to explain to me the death of my grandmother. And I know it's not biblically based at all, but it makes me smile when I think about it. So I was thinking and searching for that quote from P.T. Barnum that was over 100 years ago that said, it was, believe only half of what you see and nothing that you hear. That's very interesting. Half of what you see and nothing that you hear. Because, you know, he was kind of a circus guy, P.T. Barnum Circus, and he did a lot of crazy things like the bearded lady and, the guy that could swallow the sword and, kind of these human acts that were kind of different. And a lot of them were sleight of hand. I mean, they weren't actually what you were seeing that they were doing. And some of it was sleight of hand. So he said, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. I think that's really, really interesting. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. I look forward to you also texting me at that number. We'd love to hear from you. I would love to I'd love to know what you think about gas prices, because they are bouncing all over the place. I don't know if you've noticed that, Logan, but they're varying 30% a day.
Right. Yeah. I'll go by one day and I'll see let's just say $3.60, right? Then I'll go either up the road or I'll come back the next day and it's jumped to $3.85.
Yes. And they did vote to repeal the gas tax, which is 32 cents. But yes. I don't think the governor signed it yet. And, he's hesitating on that, and I don't really understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that is going to go into effect, but hopefully soon, as we're getting close to April.
Yeah.
I know a lot of kids are going on spring break, just kind of depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Or coming back from it, give or take. But, that's going to be a big traveling weekend. And I would hope, because I feel like it's happened in years before, that whether it's a major holiday like a Christmas or something like that, they will do that to help out travelers. Especially now with, how much it's raised in the last, 30 to 60 days.
Yeah, 30, not even 30, 20 days, 21 days. They've roughly been doing this for 3 weeks. The markets are kind of coming back. They had gone as high as 50,000 and they went as low as 45, which is a 10% correction. That's considered an actual correction. Right now it's at 46.4, but it's up. And the NASDAQ is at 22,000, which is up. So all the markets are up right now a little bit. I think it's because they've said they're doing some talks with Iran. And look, just be prepared for this. The Iranians are going to say they're not talking. That's just what they do. Okay, they lie all the time, and they don't want their people, as dwindling as they're becoming, to think that they're weak enough to give in. But the president wants to get to the end of this war. And he doesn't care about regime change. Now, that's the thing. The regime change is going to be up to the people. But I was talking to a friend of mine when I was on my way back and forth from this event, and both of us have several friends that are Iranian and know a lot of people in the Iranian diaspora. I think that's such a cool word, the diaspora, the Iranian world. And I haven't met a single Iranian that wasn't thrilled about this. Okay, now granted, they had left the country, so, maybe in the communication, you still can't communicate with the people over there. They don't have internet. I'm hoping Elon Musk is going to drop Starlink down there, but you can't get the internet, and so we don't know. But there's going to be an opportunity, I think, for people to rise up against their government. The government's weak now. They're in about the fourth string right now, and I hope that what they will do is open up. And the weird thing about the whole religious state is that it's actually made people less religious, not more religious. And you see the same problem in countries in Europe that have state religions. I think the way we do it is the best, that we leave it open for people. And I think that it makes people more faithful when you can make up your own mind. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Rhett said, I thought it was already signed and it was 60 days to run out. Maybe it's just before Memorial Day. If he signs it, maybe I should go through Memorial Day weekend. Maybe that's why he's dragging his pen. You know what? I want to verify. I'm going to verify that. Did you verify it?
Yeah, I have it here. So he signed it on March 20th is when he signed it. It was House Bill 1199. Suspends it for 60 days. So that'll go through.
So when does it go into effect? Now?
Yes, yeah, that's what he signed. Yeah, he signed it then.
So it goes in, it just hadn't filtered through yet.
Right, and it lasts for 60 days, so that'll be, June, basically late June at this point. So, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's fair. I don't see how you cannot do that at a time like this, because it's kind of like when they told you to stay home for 2 weeks. The government was doing this. Well, the government decided to go to war, and that's what caused these prices to go up. I do think we need to do a better job, though, talking to people about why we're at war and what's expected of us. Because I think that in the post 9/11 world, the government's view has been, we just don't want to disrupt your life as little as possible, so we don't want you to think we're at war. Well, I think there's a responsibility that goes along with how you conduct yourself when your country's at war. And I think we need to ask more of our citizens, not less of our citizens. I really do. So anyway, what do you think, Logan?
No, I mean, like I said, well said. Just a quick correction. It's going to be May 19th is when it runs out. So March 20th to May 19th is when that gas tax is going to be going into effect.
Okay, so it should already be in play.
Right. Should be in play, and let's hope so with the way things are right now. And I will say, Martha, I have been last time I went to the pump probably about a week ago, and do you remember back a couple of years ago you had the stickers on the pumps with Joe Biden with the "I did that"?
So is there a Trump one?
I have seen Trump ones. Yes.
Yes.
They have been around, so they are out there. If you have them,
I think that's fair, and I think that at the airport they should stick on the window Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. I did this.
Just we did this.
I think we should do this. We did this. That's right. So I like the sense of humor. Okay, that if you're not yelling and screaming and you're just kind of being clever, I think that's fine. I love these kinds of things where they're doing all these AI babies, and they're AI because these babies are far developed from what they should be. But the AI babies talking to people about, what's happening, I think it's really kind of funny. There's a cute one going up of an AI baby going up and saluting a soldier at a restaurant, and then he salutes back, and that makes you cry. I love all that kind of stuff. I really do. But we're going to talk to Bill Crane in just another couple of minutes, and we'll talk about Georgia politics and see what he thinks about where we are on the governor's race. And I got to tell you, I was a little bit behind on that gas tax thing. I knew that he had signed it, but I didn't know when it went into play, so we'll see what happens with that. But I did ask Rick Jackson this question last night. I said, we get this money from the federal government. Do you think if you're governor of Georgia, it's your job to not only use our money in good stewardship, but use the federal money too? And he said, yes, it was, but that he wasn't going to turn away federal money if we got it. So it's interesting. And I want to ask Bill this question when we get on the other side, because the only person that I'm getting asked about right now is Rick Jackson, not Kim Jackson. We'll ask him about that too. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Pastor Whit Martin of Asbury Chapel, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to our Asbury Community Easter Egg Hunt. On Sunday, March 29th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., we'll gather together on the Midland Greenway with bouncy houses, King of Pops, and crafts. We hope that you'll come celebrate Easter with us Sunday, March 29th, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Go to the website for more, asburychapel.net. We hope you'll join us and have a happy Easter.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
It's tax season, and by now, I know you're a bit tired of the numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud. Not all grim news. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second for your personal information and alerts you to threats that you could easily miss on your own. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to fix it. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK, 1-800-LifeLock or lifelock.com. Terms to apply.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30. Fox News. I'm CJ Papa.
It's insane.
Now, that man flying out of Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston today describes a seemingly endless security line.
About 2.5 hours so far, and it looks like probably another hour or so to go.
Unfortunately, the line also then goes outside of this terminal and loops around the building before these travelers are allowed back inside.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Houston. On Capitol Hill this hour, the Homeland Security Committee hearing testimony on the issues facing TSA agents and the public as the shutdown now enters day 40. Iran panning the U.S. pitch for a peace deal in the Middle East, and a new AP NORC poll finds most Americans believe the military action against Iran has gone too far. Many worried about the cost of gas. AAA reports a gallon of regular $3.98, $1 higher than when the hostilities began. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and primary elections are coming up in May, but one state Senate district in Gwinnett County will now be having a special called election on the same day, May 19th. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins explains.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger both announced Tuesday that they've authorized a special election for the District 7 state Senate seat. The seat has been held by Democrat Nabila Parks, who recently resigned to run for Georgia Lieutenant Governor. 3 Democrats and 1 Republican have already announced their intentions to run for the seat, including current State House District 97 Representative Rua Roman.
District 7 covers the western part of Gwinnett County, including Duluth, Berkeley Lake, and portions of Lawrenceville. The Gainesville Inland Port is set to open later this spring. As Georgia Ports Authority says, the $134 million project is set to open on May 4th of this year, located on White Sulphur Road near Cagle Road, and that's less than a mile from Georgia 365 in northeast Hall County. And 2 people reportedly were transported to the hospital for injuries following a wreck at an intersection in Gainesville Wednesday, as WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
The Hall County Sheriff's Office says the intersection of Atlanta Highway at Memorial Park Drive was closed for about 2 hours beginning at midnight to investigate the wreck. Eyewitness accounts reported that the wreck was between a commercial van and another vehicle, leaving debris across multiple lanes.
Cause of the wreck remains under investigation. You'll find more news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies, highs this afternoon in the mid-60s. More cloud cover tonight and low 50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Helen, 48 degrees. In Tequila, 51. And in Gainesville, 50. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Tommy Howard, president of the Norton Agency. Communication and transparency separate us from our competition. Throughout the complicated home buying and selling process, Norton advocates and guides our clients through every step. No games, no confusion, just straight up performance. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
But listen. So this what we gonna mess up at, right? What do we see when we see this milk? Close the door. What do we see? We don't just see milk, right? Yes, sir. We read the labels. What does that milk say? Whole milk. Now what does the blue milk say? 2% milk. Does it? All right, now what does that milk down there say? Reduce fat, all that. So now, since we got different kinds of milk and our wife only put milk on the list, what we gonna do? Call our wife. We gotta call our wife because we gotta see what kind of milk to get, right?
It is the Martha Zoller Show. I hope you remember we had King Randall on a couple of several months ago. He's out of Albany. He does an after-school program called The X for Boys, and they do a fantastic job. And if you are ever looking for something that will lift your spirits, number one, but you know your money's going to a good cause. They do a fantastic job. He does an after-school program where the ultimate goal is that you earn a suit that is well-fitting when you graduate out of the program so that you can go on a job interview or do something like that. But he also teaches you skills like grocery shopping. He teaches you skills like how to change oil, how to change a tire, how to actually live in the world. It's not just, playtime. And he does a fantastic job. His name is King Randall the First. I love that name, and it's called the X for Boys. Joining me right now is Bill Crane, and Bill is one of my favorite people because he cannot be he doesn't go off track very often, and I love that about him. But so today, some mailer came out, and I don't know if you saw it or not, Bill Crane, but it was saying that it was from a super PAC on behalf of Burt Jones, saying that Rick Jackson on the 6th of March this year said that he was not interested in cutting income tax, and it turned out that the Jackson they were referring to was actually Democratic state legislator Kim Jackson.
Yeah.
So I think that's
opposition research there.
Yeah, not very good opposition research. So it's crazy season officially.
Yeah, maybe they're cousins or something.
Maybe kissing cousins. Anyway, so, your just thoughts, because, our friend Eric Erickson has made the comment this morning, the only person he's getting asked about is Rick Jackson. I'm in the same boat, even though I have proclivities to Chris Carr and think he'd be the best choice. But nobody's asking me about any of the other candidates, including the lieutenant governor. They're only asking me about Rick Jackson.
Well, the radio and TV ads both are provocative, and particularly for strong Trump supporters, they echo a lot of what the president has said he will do and some of the things that he has done, but they're everywhere. I mean, when I go into Channel 2 to do my segments, it's like from the time I walk in the building till the time I leave, every other ad is a Rick Jackson ad. Now, the lieutenant governor is responding, but, the ads are on the Internet, and the ads are in mailers, and the ads, so, the people that are coordinating that effort of the campaign, even though I don't agree with all of the messaging and think it might be harmful in the general election, it has turned the Republican GOP primary upside down. Now, I still think the leading two candidates based on polling are Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. Most of the more recent polls show Rick Jackson with a 10 to 15-point lead in the field, and it well ahead of the Lieutenant Governor with Brad Raffensperger in third place and Chris Carr, our friend, and I still feel strongly about his candidacy as well, trailing in fourth place. But what it does do, depending on turnout in 7 weeks, is create a lane, because I do believe that Burt Jones and Rick Jackson will be fighting over a lot of the same voters, and that undecided number is still in the high 20s and low 30s. When that starts to break, and most of where it's breaking so far has come in Rick Jackson's favor, and Burt Jones's numbers have dropped a little bit. That undecided block could break in favor of the Secretary or the Attorney General and create a different runoff than we were certainly expecting.
Well, and I have gone on record saying I think that this acrimony is gonna go to the end between the two top 1-2, and that one of them is not going to make the final two. And I think it's going to be Burt Jones. I think he's a lot more likely, his team is a lot more likely to make a mistake that voters are going to be unhappy about, and then that creates a lane for either Raffensperger or Carr to come in second place. So we'll see what happens, and I think it's legitimate to do that. So we're now in this 6th week of this DHS shutdown, where in the fact of the matter is the funding for Border Patrol and ICE was in the big beautiful bill until 28. So they're still functioning. Border Patrol and ICE are still functioning, and what we've done is we've hurt the little people of DHS, which is TSA and that kind of thing. So I've had some back and forth with not only Senator Ossoff but his staff about how, that he's really on the wrong side of this issue, and we've got that he should be a leader and get 4 or 5 Democrats to vote to end this. And their answer to me was, well, we tried to get TSA funding 8 times. No, that's not how you do this. The White House, in my view, the White House has offered 2 or 3 things that they asked for. That's called compromise. That means you give up 2 or 3 things that you want, and then you get this settled for the entire department when we're at war and we've got terrorist attacks that are happening around this country. And that it bothers me that, he's not responding at all to that. But I know that he's not going to, because they're going to dig their heels in.
Well, he's got a re-election to worry about, though. Republicans are starting to concede.
He doesn't have a primary opposition. He's got plenty of time.
Yeah, he's got no primary, and things as the infighting continues on the GOP side. In that race, that things look better for his chances. But I would say John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, Ted Cruz in Texas, and John Kennedy, Louisiana, went to the White House with a deal that basically also had Chuck Schumer sign off, saying that we'll agree to everything if you'll either give us 1 year of extension on the Affordable Care Act supplements that were put in place by the Biden administration, give us a year to work out a plan that reduces health care costs for all Americans, or we'll approve everything in the way of Homeland Security funding except for we still have to have this discussion about ICE. And the White House did shoot down both of those offers of compromise. So I put blame on both sides. But I think the most effective chess move that I've seen this week is our Atlanta-based Delta Airlines withdrawing all VIP privileges for members of Congress.
Amen to that.
Red coat service, which means they don't get walked to the gate, they don't have security, they don't get designated parking, they don't get to skip the security lines, and they don't get to, as you mentioned earlier this past week on the show, they don't get to hold spaces on 5 or 6 or 7 flights when they don't know when a vote's coming up, so that they can still fly home on a Friday or back on a Monday. They're going to have to be like the rest of us with chattel. Now, they're still Sky Milers, and they're still going to do okay, but they're not going to have all the perks and privileges. And with Easter recess coming, although there's talk they're going to blow through that, I think you'll start to see a few Democrats, particularly those who are in purplish districts, cave.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't understand about Senator Ossoff. There is no doubt that this is a purple state, okay? And I think it's a lean red purple state when you look at the numbers. He only won by 50.
Certainly outside of Metro Atlanta.
Yeah, it's more than lean red outside of Metro Atlanta, okay? And he only won by 50,000 votes. Is it that he's just spending too much time in Atlanta, that he doesn't see it? Or does he really not believe that he represents all Georgians?
We're talking about Senator Ossoff?
Yes.
I think his tendency is to believe his voting base is in Metro Atlanta, and so he's most responsive to that voting base because it's really 7 or 8 counties that decide whether he lives or dies and returns to re-election.
But where are they going to go? Where are they going to go?
No, I know. I'm with you strategically. He's got those votes aren't going to vote for the Republican. They're not going to leave him. The worst goes is they don't show up. They're just not motivated and they don't turn out.
Well, good thing
I would be. He has in his constituent services. He's done some smart stuff, but he doesn't spend a lot of time outstate.
Well,
unlike
and I tell
Senator Warnock, who is from Savannah and spends a lot of time down on the coast and around the state.
Well, and I do think that there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, the Democrats have done a brilliant job of recruiting candidates throughout the state, even in areas that they can't win, which will help Democrat voter turnout, okay? And so I think they've done kind of like a Howard Dean 50-state strategy, with the state of Georgia, because in North Georgia anyway, we have more Democrats than we've had in 30 years. We have a contested Democrat primary in the 9th District, which is,
And you're seeing that in a couple of the Democratic candidates for governor, Michael Thurman in particular, going places where Democrats used to win, and you see the pictures on Facebook, and it's a lot of older folks that may not have been participating in the last several years. So some of that is going on within the party, but not. Again, I think the Ossoff campaign has sort of moved to a belief that they're going to win this. It's about margin and turnout. I'm not saying that that's fact. I'm just saying
Atlanta.
That's what they think.
And Atlanta. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So Jeff Duncan. I want to talk about Jeff Duncan for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He does seem to be getting some traction,
At least in polling.
But it is still really hard to explain the shift in his positions over time.
I don't think the numbers that are getting better for him are real voters as much as they are people appreciating that he left the GOP as very critical of President Trump, endorsed Kamala Harris, and before that Joe Biden for president, and I think it's still early, and the undecided number is bigger than his number. He is definitely making ground, and it seems to be so far at the expense of undecideds and Michael Thurman. But I think as things solidify and they get into debate season, I've even seen him talk a couple of times, and though he is spouting, as you say, kind of new points of view, they look canned.
Yeah.
They don't appear as if they're flowing from his heart or genuine, and I think people can read that.
And so we'll end on a funny note where there's these liberal podcasts out there that have a lot of women on them, and the story that's come out of them this week is that they're mostly liberal white women, okay, that are on these podcasts. And the story that's come out of them this week is that, they need good-looking candidates. The Democrats need good-looking candidates. And they put up a list of candidates, and our Senator John Ossoff was in that group. Hotties is what they called them, and along with Gavin Newsom. But then I looked at it, and I went, this is like a bunch of white saviors. Really, the Democratic Party says their strength is the minorities, but yet when moneyed people from the Democratic Party get together, all they put forward is white candidates. I think it's interesting.
I think it's sad, but it doesn't. It's a reality of life. Being attractive and running for public office, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Unless you come across like you're really empty-headed, like a Dan Quayle and vacuous, which he wasn't, but some people thought he was. But in the main, it's helpful. Think about when was the last time we elected a bald president?
Yeah. Well, George McGovern was the only time that George McGovern and John Kerry, the taller guy, always wins, except in those two cases. And I get it. People telegenic people. You go all the way back to Kennedy and Nixon. Nixon had the 5 o'clock shadow, which was like the death of him, and the sweat. And then Kennedy looked great, for his age, even though he was sick. He was the sicker person of the two.
He was wearing a back brace and all that, but it didn't read on the black and white camera feed to the country.
That's right. So it's kind of interesting to watch, but it's fun.
People who listened on radio thought Nixon won that debate.
Well, and it's fun out there, but I got to tell you, these events are starting to heat up, and Rick Jackson's drawing a crowd everywhere he goes. It's interesting.
It's a different race, and what I was most surprised about when I met with him was he said that he told his wife that he was planning to do this on January 3rd.
Yes, I know. He said, he told that story too. I think the best story he tells is the one about the first job he had. He said he had this personnel company job, and it was $1,100 a month and 33% commission or something like that. And they didn't want to hire him because he didn't have a college degree. And he said, well, how about if I forego the salary and I'll just go on commission? And so they said, okay, we'll hire you. And in a year, he bought the company. So
No, I hadn't heard that story.
Oh, my God. It was a great story. And, I think people like that about him. And if you look at his numbers with women, he's got very high numbers with women. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I'd love to see a matchup between Rick Jackson and Mike Thurmond. That would be very interesting to watch. That would be good to watch. Anyway, thanks for being with me today, Bill.
Take care, Martha. See you soon.
We'll take a break.
In North Georgia,
it's the topics that matter to me.
We're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawl Space Medic. Is your crawl space giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawl Space Medic, we specialize in crawl space repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
Great drinks, great company, and every sip makes a difference. Join the Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier for the 3rd annual club crawl on Saturday, March 28th from 12 to 4 at Cumming City Center. We're kicking things off at Crooked Culture Brewing, then heading to participating spots including Tin Cup Grill, The Well, and Los Rios Cantina. Tickets are $50 and include drinks at every participating stop, plus your own Boys and Girls Clubs of Lanier pint glass to take home. Your ticket makes a real difference for kids right here in your community. Grab your friends and get your tickets now at boysgirlsclubs.com. Let's do something good together. Club Crawl, March 28th.
Get ready, Hall County. It's time for the Phildale Farms Chicken Sale benefiting United Way of Hall County. Choose from grilled fillets, tenders, strips, and more. But hurry, all orders must be placed by 4 p.m. on Friday, April 10th. Stock up on premium Phildale chicken at unbeatable prices while supporting programs that help families in our community. Call 770-536-3858 to place your order, cash only. That's 770-536-3858.
Paid for by government.
The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again, guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound, the first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Governor Kemp announces that global biopharmaceutical company UCB plans to invest $2 billion in Gwinnett County. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, there may be a celebration here at the airport before it's all said and done, especially for the folks who've been working nonstop, extra shifts. If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint. Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour. But when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this. And there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through. In fact, a lot of folks have been showing up shocked at how short the lines are. Take a listen to some of the folks we talked to this morning.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know. Right. I mean, they're going to help out and, you know, make things move a little faster, but whether they're doing that or not, we don't know. But extra security is always good to me.
I mean, you think it's not going to be that bad, but then you get here and, you know, you think, oh, man, it really is as bad as they say it is.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and, you know, I'm glad things are better at the airports. I mean, really, once you get in the way of people being able to go where they want to go, they don't like that. We don't like that in America. We want people to do their job. Just now on CNN, within the last hour, they had the president of the TSA union going ballistic on the Schumer DHS shutdown. It has come to the point of having to skip meals because I have to make sure my kids are fed. Come to a resolution for the sake of the federal workers. This is unacceptable. They need to represent us. It means making sure we are able to put food on the table while we have been working. It is unacceptable at this point to show up for work with no pay. You know, and that's really, I mean, that's a lot to ask of someone, Logan. I mean, we have got to get this out of, we shouldn't have these government shutdowns anyway, because money comes into the government every day anyway. And it ought to be that until you come to an agreement, the money still gets paid out. Okay. But to think that you are asking people that make $50,000 a year to show up at the airport and work even though they haven't been paid in 6 weeks.
No, and I mean, I heard one of the, Fox News stories, I think at the top of the hour, said that people are sleeping in their cars just coming to work because just the demand right now. And like I said, I feel so bad for all those workers up there because they already get treated rough enough working at the airport. But then you add this on top of it, and there's just a lot of unruly people out there who will just take it out on them. There's only so much they can do. And hopefully this comes to an end soon so they can finally get some peace, some rest, and some pay.
Yeah, some peace, some rest, and some pay. And, it's not quite as bad coming, through the airport, coming through the airport on this, that when you're coming back in, it's just the getting in. So it's crazy. So there's a lot going on, but we'll see what happens here. I got a little bit off track here. I'm trying to look to see when my trip, I was supposed to go on this trip to the Mediterranean with WDUN, and they came back in on the 22nd. Okay. So they probably didn't have any trouble getting through on that. So, I mean, it's a crazy time. And I hope that if you're going somewhere, that you've got it all planned out. I mean, we're still planning on going on a trip. We're still planning on going on a trip in July. We're going to the British Open, and we're going to hang out. I know we're always going to England. We love it. So we'll see what happens there. The King Charles is going to be, it was announced he's going to be addressing a joint session of Congress. I think it's the first time that has ever happened. They'll probably be having a state dinner too. So I'm already reaching out to my contacts to see if I can get a gallery space to that. Boy, wouldn't it be cool to go to a state dinner? I'm sure, Logan, you got to be a lot higher up than us to go to a state dinner.
I think so, but we can dream, right?
We can dream. It would be fun.
That would be,
You'd have to wear a tux.
Oh, I wouldn't mind.
I'd wear a long dress.
I wouldn't mind that. We'd probably get the Wagyu beef or whatever, the finest is in the land out there, and it would be a swell time.
It would be a swell time. So have you watched any of this TPL golf?
No, I saw the other day that I believe Tiger Woods' team was in kind of a do-or-die situation.
And they got blown out last night. It was the funniest thing because my husband was watching the last thing, and we turned it on. It was about 45 minutes after the thing started.
Okay.
And it was already over.
Wow.
It was a blowout, and they had all this time to fill. So, of course, they were giving all these needless statistics that you didn't know and did some interviews with the guys and all that kind of stuff. And then they did a live version of SportsCenter, which evidently they hadn't done in I don't know how many years, because the whole thing ended up, it was a do or die kind of thing, and evidently the Jupiter team, which is the Tiger Woods team, collapsed.
Yep.
Now, what is so sad, though, I think, is that everybody just really wants Tiger Woods to play in the Masters. He wants to play in the Masters. I mean, he says, my body just does not recover the way it used to. I've had some bad injuries, and I don't know. But I think he's going to start out. He may have to withdraw if his body doesn't recover, or if he doesn't. Obviously, I don't think he'll make the cut. But he's going to be, I mean, he's won, 4 or 5 Masters, something like that.
He's won more than enough.
Yeah,
at this
and
point.
He's going to go for the dinner. Okay, you always have a champions dinner the night before it starts. He'll go for the dinner. He'll do all that kind of stuff, but he won't make it all the way through, I don't think. But you're going to see Tiger Woods at the Masters. He's not going to miss it. He's not going to miss it. I can't wait for the Masters. I'm still looking for tickets, though, and I refuse to pay scalping prices. It's the Martha Zoller Show. I'll be off Thursday and Friday. Be back on Monday.